Good day and welcome to the News Roundup for January 24. I am Abigail Smythe. Among the stories in this evening's newscast, government to increase mandatory minimum sentence for murder. FBI and other international law enforcement called in to help unravel U.S. multi-million-dollar fraud at Stocksand Securities Limited. Bank of Jamaica to become the country's financial system main regulator. 87-year-old woman killed as thugs shoot up and firebomb her house. Careful consideration to be given to secret telephone conversations in Klansman Wandan gang trial. In business, net remittance inflows to Jamaica fall by 2.7%. In the region, ambush by criminal gangs in Haiti leaves 3 police officers dead. Further overseas, 7 people shot and killed in 2 related shootings in a community south of San Francisco. And in sports, Don Beholden continues winning streak in Jamaica Premier League.
Teach them! Always make sure the message will reach them!
Now for the news in detail. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the government is moving to amend the Offences of the Persons Act to increase the mandatory minimum sentence for murder. It will move from 15 to 45 years. In a statement to Parliament this afternoon, Minister Chuck said legislation will be tabled shortly to address this issue.
Government is proposing to amend the OAPA as follows. In Section 3(1)(b) of the OAPA, Offences Against the Person Act, to increase the mandatory minimum sentence of imprisonment from 15 years to 45 years. In Section 3(1)(c), regarding eligibility for parole for capital murder, Section 1(c)(a), increase the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole from 20 years to 50 years. For non-capital murder, Madam Speaker, where the sentence given was life imprisonment, increase the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole from 15 years to 40 years. And where the sentence given was a term of years, increase the mandatory minimum sentence to be served before being eligible for parole from 10 years to 35 years.
He lamented that the government and the public at large are extremely concerned about the levels of murder across Jamaica. He also bemoaned Jamaica's murder rate, noting that 1,498 homicides were recorded in 2022, representing a 2% increase over the corresponding period in 2021. Chuck argued that harsher penalties are needed to punish criminals.
The government, Madam Speaker, is firmly of the view that these proposals achieve the objective of ensuring that the potential sentence matches the seriousness and gravity of the offense, whilst remaining within the realm of constitutionality by preserving some degree of discretion in the courts and allowing the possibility of a subsequent reconsideration of the court's position. A clear and unmistakable message must be sent to potential killers that their wanton and heartless act will be met with disgust, repugnance, and a lengthy period of incarceration. Having taken a life, Madam Speaker, the offender cannot and should not be allowed to enjoy the remainder or most of the remainder of his life freely and unburdened. Madam Speaker, we invite comments from everyone to indicate their position and the appropriateness of these proposed penalties, and we do invite public discussion before they're enacted.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and other international law enforcement have been called in to help unravel the U.S. multi-million-dollar fraud at Stocksand Securities Limited, SSL. Dr. Clark says no stone will be left unturned in finding out how this scheme went undetected for over 13 years. He argues that the 13-year-long fraud has tarnished the country's reputation.
I feel the full range of emotions: anger, disgust, hurt, and like many Jamaicans, I am deeply pained by these events. This is a body blow to Jamaica and has the unfortunate impact of tarnishing Jamaica's global reputation. And I'm extremely saddened by this. I feel the pain of those who have lost resources on which they were dependent.
The fraud, which was unearthed earlier this month, has rocked the financial sector. Over 40 people identified, including legendary Olympian Usain Bolt, have lost a combined total of $2 billion Jamaican dollars so far. This sum is expected to continue rising. Minister Clark says international law enforcement and other forensic experts will be moving to assist their local counterparts in untangling the mess. He says they will get to the bottom of it.
Across 3 political administrations, 5 chairmen of the FSC, 4 executive directors, 13 years, a massive fraud was being committed at SSL and it went undetected. And I repeat, this government will get through its investigative bodies that operate independently. The investigative authorities will get to the bottom of it.
The finance minister notes the SSL matter as another in a long line of financial crimes which he believes have gone inadequately punished. This, he says, will change going forward.
Over the past 30 years, Jamaica has successively failed to successfully arrest and prosecute persons who were allegedly criminally responsible during the FinSAC era. Neither those criminally responsible for Cash Plus and Olint, Worldwide, and other such schemes. Similarly, persons allegedly responsible for public sector frauds over much of this period have similarly escaped punishment, regularly meted out to others. With that as our historical context, the SSL fraud has touched especially raw nerves. A nerve that represents the reservoir of distrust that has developed based on what many believe to be the historical Jamaican experience of one law for some and another law for others. A nerve that captures the wells of suspicion that white-collar crimes are processed and treated differently from other crimes. A nerve that characterizes the deep pool of cynicism in our country, where there is sometimes a belief that the real truth is artificially suppressed and nothing ever really changes.
In the meantime, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced that the Bank of Jamaica will become the country's main regulator of the entire financial system. He made the announcement Monday afternoon as part of plans to make significant adjustments to the oversight and management of the sector. This means the Bank of Jamaica will have the sole responsibility to ensure that Jamaica's financial system remains stable, resilient, and secure. According to Dr. Clark, the new Financial Services Commission will then be given the responsibility for what he calls market conduct and consumer protection. The finance minister says this will provide greater economies of scale and allow for greater security in the financial sector going forward. He hopes to complete the transition within 2 years. An 87-year-old woman was killed Monday morning when armed thugs shot up and firebombed her house in the St. Andrew North Police Division. She is Hyacinth White of Tunbridge Drive in the Constant Spring area. Investigators say about 10 o'clock, armed men drove up to the house and threw several Molotov cocktails at the dwelling, setting it on fire. They then opened fire on the building before fleeing the scene. The police and fire personnel responded and found the body of the elderly woman at the back of the dwelling. Investigators are trying to establish a motive for the killing. The police high command has ordered an investigation into a viral video in which a man was badly beaten by other detainees at the Ocherias lockup in St. Anne Thursday night. The injured detainee has been hospitalized under police guard. In the video, which appears to have been recorded by the detainees, they are seen stomping and torturing the man. The injured man, who was bleeding from the head, appeared to be in a semi-conscious state as the other detainees lit pieces of paper and other material, throwing it at him in an apparent attempt to set him ablaze. The video did not show any police personnel manning the lockup. A senior officer says force policy clearly states that the lockups must be checked hourly throughout the night. The Ocherias police have since charged the 5 men with assault occasioning grievous bodily harm and unlawful wounding following the incident. The police in Manchester say there will be increased targeted operations to cauterize the crime wave affecting the South Central Parish, with external forces being deployed in search of criminals. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, says the police are pursuing known criminals. Manchester recorded a significant increase in major categories of crime, including murders, shootings, and robberies in 2022 when compared to 2021. Since the start of the year, the South Central Parish has been rocked by crime, having recorded a 150% increase in murders up to January 22 when compared to the corresponding period last year. McCullough notes that residents may experience some level of inconvenience during the heightened security operations. Chief Justice Brian Sykes says careful consideration will be given to the secret telephone conversations that were recorded by a former gangster now turned state witness in the Klansman Wandan gang trial. Justice Sykes began his summation of the longest-running trial in Jamaica's history at the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston on Monday. He says he acknowledges that mistakes can be made in the identification of voices. The secret cell phone recordings are being relied on by the Crown to corroborate the testimony of its 2 main witnesses. This in an attempt to prove that the defendants were operating as a gang. The recordings are conversations allegedly between the defendants. Chief Justice Sykes points out that voices can be mistaken, which in previous cases have led to wrongful convictions. The recordings were played in court and the former gangster was asked to identify the voices. Meanwhile, Justice Sykes says he has taken note of the inconsistencies, omissions, and discrepancies pointed out by the defense. During cross-examination, the defense made several attempts to impeach the credibility of the Crown's 2 main witnesses. In some instances, the defense highlighted contents of statements provided by the witnesses that were contrary to what was said in court under oath. The defense contended that the witnesses left out critical information from their statements. Justice Sykes notes that this could indicate doubt about the witnesses' credibility and reliability. However, he states that these are common occurrences in criminal trials. Additionally, Justice Sykes says he's acknowledged the defendant's admission of having no known previous convictions. He points out that good character is not a defense during criminal trials, but it assumes great significance. Justice Sykes says the court will also take into consideration malicious intent on the part of the Crown's key witness. It was revealed that a defendant allegedly impregnated a woman who was intimately involved with the former gangster. Justice Sykes says the court will have to decide if any substance can be found in that instance. The trial initially saw 33 alleged members of the St. Catherine-based gang being indicted on various charges, including murder, conspiracy to murder, arson, and illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. 5 of the accused were freed on the basis of insufficient evidence. The sole defendant in the matter, who was out on bail, Andre Smith, was shot and killed in August. The summation of the trial resumed on Tuesday. The murder case involving Robert Fowler, the St. Catherine mechanic who is accused of killing 20-year-old accounting clerk Kenise Jackson, was adjourned Monday afternoon until Friday, January 27. He was further remanded until then. When the matter was called up in the Home Circuit Court, Justice Vinnet Graham Allen was informed that a medical examination ordered by the court on the last occasion was conducted. Fowler reportedly did a series of blood tests on November 16 at the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine. On October 5, 2022, his attorney, Lyndon Wellesley, informed the judge that his medical condition was worsening, and Justice Graham Allen placed the murder proceedings on hold to address Fowler's health condition. Justice Graham Allen also made an order on Monday for the medical journal to be present in court on Friday so she could peruse the document herself. The prosecution and Fowler's defense team were instructed to have a discussion in relation to shortening the proceedings. Wellesley, on a previous occasion, told the court that the plan to speed up the matter foregoing a trial was still on course. Kenneth Jackson, who resided in Independence City, Portmore, St. Catherine, was found dead on March 26, 2021, 2 days after she had been reported missing. Her decomposing body was found in an open lot near the Portmore fishing village. Fowler was taken into custody and charged after he reportedly confessed. Police have theorized that Fowler, who is a mechanic, had lured Jackson to his home under the guise that he left one of his tools. While there, an argument reportedly developed with Jackson, and he allegedly used a rope to strangle her. A handbag believed to be Jackson's and her bank cards were among items reportedly found at Fowler's home. According to the police, Jackson and Fowler shared a platonic relationship. Fowler would transport her to work on several occasions. Students and teachers at Belmont Academy in Westmoreland were reportedly left traumatized on Monday after an angry mob charged onto the school compound in search of a driver who they accused of mowing down an elderly woman in the community. According to sources, the man, in an effort to elude an angry group of machete and fish gun-wielding men, sought refuge on the school compound, which was meters away from the spot where the woman was allegedly hit. In a video circulating on social media, a shirtless man, believed to be the driver, was seen on the second floor of the school in the presence of teachers. Senior Superintendent of Police Wynne Josephs said the driver of the vehicle was later rescued by the police, who took him safely into custody. The injured woman is now in hospital undergoing treatment. In business news, net remittance inflows to Jamaica fell by 2.7% in the month of November compared to November 2021. The Bank of Jamaica reported that total inflows were valued at $249.6 million. It said there was an increase in total remittance outflows valued at $9.1 million, which was partially offset by an increase of 0.7% in total remittance inflows. The month's performance brought net remittance inflows of $2.18 billion for April to November 2022. That's 1.8% lower than the corresponding period in 2021. In the region, Haiti's Prime Minister, Dr. Ariel Henry, has met with the High Command of the National Police of Haiti following last weekend's ambush by criminal gangs that left 3 police officers dead, 1 other missing, and another hospitalized. In last Friday's attack, heavily armed criminals ambushed a police patrol in the Metavere area east of the capital, Port-au-Prince. Media reports say the police patrol had been on its way to the area after reports that one criminal gang was seeking to regain possession of the territories held by a former policeman, now gang leader. The National Police of Haiti has denounced the deadly attack. And on the international scene, 7 people were killed in 2 related shootings on Monday at a mushroom farm and a trucking firm in a coastal community south of San Francisco. Officials say 4 people were killed at the farm and 3 at the trucking business on the outskirts of Half Moon Bay. Television footage from the area showed officers taking a man into custody without incident. Aerial television images also showed police officers collecting evidence from a farm with dozens of greenhouses. The shooting followed the killing of 11 people late Saturday at a ballroom dance hall in Southern California. And finally, in sports, Dunbeholden defeated Vere United 1-0 in their Jamaica Premier League fixture Monday evening at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. Vere, who improved to 12th place before kickoff following Chapelton Maroons' 6-point deduction, are still without a win this season. Dunbeholden are now on 18 points with their 5th win of the season. And that's it for your news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. See you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!